Thank you for watching Life Outside the Ivory Tower. If you enjoyed what you have seen, be sure to give the video a like. If you want to tell us what idiots we are, be sure to leave a comment below. We put out new content weekly, so subscribe, click the bell so you can stay up to date on how to survive life outside the Ivory Tower.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about, the kind of the top 5 things that I miss
In the COVID era?
in the COVID era.
The 5 things we
So
missed in the COVID era.
5 things I miss in the COVID era. There's no particular order, but I wanted to talk about this because one of the things I missed, again, no particular order. This is the first time that on a election day I didn't go to a polling place and vote. I sent my ballot in by mail. And the reason I did that was because of COVID. Now, I had waited in lines prior on election day. I also benefited, not the most recent election, but in the recent past. I could literally, I had a 5-minute walk from my front door to my polling place.
So it was just
because, when I lived in Columbus, because my polling place was the elementary school that was right by my house. So I literally walked the space of 2 homes, crossed the street, and I was in the lawn of the school. That's where I voted. Part of me really misses that. Just the whole act of it's election day, you go vote. So that is the first thing that I miss is the traditional experience of going on election day and pulling the lever, even though there's not a lever anymore.
Hasn't been a lever since either of us have been able to vote.
Yeah, it's touchscreen. So I remember when I first voted, you basically got a little steel needle and you had to poke it through the hole.
The butterfly style ballots.
Oh yeah. Speaking of butterfly ballots, never forget Jews for Buchanan, Florida.
Ah, yes.
Jews for Buchanan.
That was a thing. Somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow that became
figure.
a thing.
Right. So what's your first thing that you miss?
First thing I miss from COVID, from the pre-post COVID, I don't know what you want to call it, in the COVID era, basically.
Yeah.
I never realized how much, like, at my age now, that like social interaction came from work.
Oh yeah.
And like my employer moved us to work at home, and we're on it through February. And I enjoyed it for like.
Now, is that, if I may
weeks.
interject, is that February at a minimum?
Yeah, like originally it was going to be rest of the year. Now it's been extended to February, so it's just the deadlines just keeps getting. It's more of a we'll revisit this issue at this time,
exactly,
and then make the decision. And I enjoyed working from home for like 2 weeks.
So you want to go? Or are you saying you want to go back to the office?
I'm saying I wouldn't mind going. I understand the appeal of like why people would want to go back to the office, because it's just I don't really see people. If I didn't have another job that I worked, I would never see people.
Right.
I would absolutely never see people. And I got to tell you, it's much better seeing people than not seeing them. I can't foresee a scenario like I would much rather be doing this show together on a set than like via a Zoom call. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, there's also a structural thing there. And I mean, the structural thing being we live 120 miles apart.
Yeah, but given the choice, I would always rather pick the in-person one. It's more.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I mean, kind of expanding on that, we both work for nameless insurance companies. The reason I jumped in there and I wanted to ask, because it's very similar for the company I work for. Initially, it was we are going to close the contact centers, and the facility that I worked at, it was part of a larger compound, 2 buildings, more than 3,000 employees altogether. The building that I worked out of was like 1,200 employees, and the initial response was, we're going to close the contact center immediately. Just take your stuff home. We're going to close the contact center. We don't know anymore. We'll get through this. And then the first initial press release, not press release, but like mass communication to employee, said at the earliest we're going to look at quarter 4. So like the initial thing that was said is we're going to look at like October, because it was beginning of quarter four. 2 weeks later, this is back in April, they're like, January 2021. Like, we're just going to skip it for the rest of the year. And now, the most recent communication, this was from about a month ago, most recent communication was quarter two of 2021. So a minimum of April 2021. But the one thing that I do want to give my nameless company credit for is they have realized that just kind of what you touched on. There's a very strong desire for some people to want to go into work. And there's a pilot program. It's not available where I work, but it is available where my company is headquartered. And there's actually two headquarters, two different states, two different cities. Well, two different states, so obviously two different cities. Where what you can actually do is there's a program where employees can sign up and they can actually go into the facility 2 days a week in completely sterile, basically bubble environments. Because my job has realized that there is a very important behavioral health aspect in terms of physically going into work. And I don't want to publicize the company I work for. What I do in my private time is just that. It's private. I would consider this my private time. So I don't really want to involve them. I don't want to publicize who I work for. But at the same time, I do feel that I do want to give this company credit, who I'm not willing to name, because they have a very strong recognition of the behavioral health aspects of the modern workplace. So I just wanted to say that, but also the work environment and the socialization of work, that was also one of the things that I was missing as well. So what is your second thing you're missing there?
Oh, buffets.
Buffets.
Absolutely buffets. Absolutely miss buffets. Like, where it was a challenge, and now like they're back open, but it was one of those like, well, you still have to go to your table, and then the server will come around and you tell the server what you want, and then they will get it and bring it to you. Like, okay, 2/3 of the greatness of the buffet was you just went and got it yourself, so like no one else knew what you were eating. It was just between you and the people at your table. Only those people knew what a fat person you were. And it's just it's the same thing. Like, what I eat when I can eat whatever I want, that's my decision. You have no business in knowing that.
See, I didn't even know that was the procedure.
Yeah, that's what they're doing now.
Wow. So basically, like, your server, as opposed to most buffet service, where your server kind of cleared your plates and brought you beverages, they're actually now food running.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. Buffets, I debated whether putting that on my list. Buffet would be my number 6, but it's not my top 5.
Okay, what's your number 2?
Well, this would be my number 3, because remember the
I was
workplace.
like, you also had the workplace. Okay,
I
so
also had the
third?
workplace. So the third thing that I miss, movie theaters. Movie theaters,
Yeah.
and the
And I don't
summer
think
blockbuster.
I don't think those are coming back.
Now, as I've gotten older, I've gone to the theaters less and less. I think that's just a product of getting older. The last movie I saw in movie theaters was the last Star Wars film, Star Wars 9, was the last movie I saw. So December. But I was good for like going to see your big tentpole Marvel movie. I mean, what is it? I think Marvel does basically 3 movies a year. It was, one of the Avenger characters, an Avengers movie, and then one of the other associated Marvel characters like Doctor Strange, or one of the or Spider-Man, like one of the other characters who's not officially part of the Avengers universe, but they kind of are. Well, like I said, I miss that, and I think I really don't think it's ever coming back.
No, movie theaters are a dying.
Now, I think one of the reasons for that,
Which
and I think
sucks is
this
like
is
they all just spent a bunch of money like
to
reforming
upgrade
to
and
upgrade to
the,
do the diners, and we all sit down
oh
there. And
yeah,
they spent all
like
that money, and then this happens. Like, nope,
yeah.
nope.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's part of me that's kind of like, when is the movie theater going under, and when are they going to sell those chairs? Because I will go buy
Right?
two of
I'll
those
take those
chairs.
tap. Yeah,
I
I'll
will
take
go
those
buy
tap
two of those
handles.
like luxury recliners with the seats and somebody I know actually told me that they're on version 2.0 of the seats where they have upgraded heating and cooling elements now into the seats.
Because of course they would.
Because of course, uh but anyway, I miss the movie. I miss movies like that. And the reason I say I miss movies like that is, aside from the big superhero films, and this is the biggest thing, the big superhero films that aren't produced by Disney are in a world of hurt. And the reason they're in a world of hurt is because Disney has its own distribution channel.
Yeah,
There's
CW
a reason.
WB does not. They have the CW app, and
There's
that's not very
there's
good.
there's a reason why Fast and Furious got shelved. There's a reason why, more pertinently, Wonder Woman 1984 got shelved. Top Gun, Top Gun
Maverick.
Maverick, Top Gun 2, James Bond 20, I think it's 26 or 27. And the reason that I missed that, like I said, and I don't think it's ever coming back, is you can't put as many butts in the seats as you can in the theater. And the thing is, I think eventually it was going to come to an end with the widespread availability of high-speed broadband internet, and the fact that the turnaround time from a movie being in the theater to being released on hard media is in some cases it's down to 3 months. And the reason it's so short is because of piracy. And I'm not talking about like some guy with a video camera in the theater just recording it. I mean, getting like Oscar screener copies and just burning them 4K, full resolution, full features. I mean, I think the movie industry was eventually coming to this point. I think just COVID just completely
Oh, it
accelerated it.
definitely accelerated it.
And I mean, the biggest thing to
It's
remain to be
cutting. I mean, it
seen.
completely cuts out a middleman. It is a
Well, yeah,
complete middleman
yeah,
cutout.
and I mean, the two, I think, bellwethers that are going to happen is, first and foremost, is Regal Cinema going to be able to make their debt payment on December 16th, because they've reshuttered all their theaters. Are they going to be able to make their debt payment on December 16th? That's the first question. And the second thing to look for is if Disney is going to release another big budget, I mean 120,
Another
140
high
million
budget
dollar
movie
plus film
onto Disney Plus.
directly through to Disney Plus like they did with Mulan.
Have they
Now, if
announced
they,
what kind of money they made with Mulan?
you know how Disney announces it? Seriously? We have 62 million monthly subscribers.
But they didn't. They had an advertisement for it, and you had to pay $30 for it. So how many of those subscribers actually bought the movie?
We have 62 million subscribers, because that's what they're concerned with, because they're the whole value of Disney Plus is market penetration inside the home. That's totally what they're going for. And I think they're willing it. I would not be surprised if Disney almost decides to open Disney Plus as a direct market channel into the home for the direct sale of Disney property, Disney merchandising. I mean, one of the things that's very interesting that, and again, not something I included, but, something that I considered, Disney has all of these exclusives for Star Wars that you can only buy at Disney World or Disneyland. They have resorted to selling a good deal of them through Target. And that's because people can't go to the theme parks, and they have warehouses full of this merch that they can't sell. Or they're not, they can sell it. They're just not selling it in the volumes that they thought they would, because people aren't coming to the
Because
parks.
people aren't coming to Disney World, so they can't buy the
And
stuff.
even then, even if people aren't coming to the parks, they're capped at their attendance. And the thing is, they're not selling out attendance wise. They're not. And the attendance is capped at 25%. It's kind of a twin-edged blade. Not only can 75% of the people just flat out not go, the maximum attendance aren't coming.
Isn't being met either. They're probably at like 15-20% when it could get
realistically.
25.
Yeah, the number that I heard, we have a mutual friend who their significant other works for Disney, and they let me know that the number pegged, they're between 75 to 85% of their reduced capacity. So that's what a park that's 18 to 21% full.
But it's easy as hell to get through to those rides now, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, and people have kind of said, like, hey, if you're willing to take the risk, now's the time to go.
I gotta tell you, man, like, I work at 3 bars and not concerned. Not at all concerned.
Well, here's the thing. You're under the age of 40. You don't,
I guess for a while, yeah.
You're under the age of 40. You're not immunocompromised. You're not like morbidly obese with some other underlying health condition. And you don't smoke tobacco. You don't smoke tobacco.
I do not smoke tobacco.
So you don't have any of those, red flag issues. So, but anyway, that was my third thing. Movie theaters, big summer blockbusters. Don't think they're ever coming back.
Nope.
Because simply put, studios can't afford like Tenet, the Chris Nolan
movie.
Oh, that movie lost so much money.
I would like to see some movies lean back into storytelling, though, because I think good the thing is, storytelling has gone to TV. Good storytelling is
it has
TV,
but
the big budget stuff that had to stay on the theaters because you needed the big screen and the surround sound and everything for it to take off. And I think that's going by the wayside.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's one of the things. One of the reasons why the last Avengers movies, Endgame and Infinity War, one of the reasons why they cost so much money is because for those 2 films, they paid Robert Downey Jr. $150 million for 2 films.
Yeah.
Okay.
So much money.
Robert Downey Jr.'s salary for those 2 films was more than 20% of the budget of those 2 films. Now, hey, I love me some I Am Iron Man. He was absolutely fantastic as Tony Stark. Okay, and I'm a huge comic book guy. He's amazing. But those days are coming to an end. Because, simply put, the studio is going to be, if they have a film that's got a $120 million budget, and then you drill down to it, and then you realize, okay, $65 million of that is actor salaries. Time to go get us some cheaper actors. Simply put, it's time to go get us some cheaper actors.
And there's cheaper actors out there who are just as good.
And there are.
I think the era, I think this is something, and I don't know if this was necessarily going to be a COVID thing, but it definitely is a thing now, is we're going to reboot this franchise just outright because we need less expensive actors.
Well, here's the other thing too that I think you're going to start seeing, and this is one of the luxuries of the comic book world. One of the movies that was supposed to come out this year, which got delayed, was Black Widow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do remember seeing a bunch of promo stuff for Black Widow.
Well, guess what? Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, in the storyline died in 2018 or 2018? 2019. She died in 2019. So the one thing I think that studios are more willing to do, to be mindful of, to adapt, is we can use the same characters. We can call them the same thing. We just get somebody else to play the role.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing the comic books do. You get a new artist, you get a new author. It doesn't matter.
I mean, the one franchise that proved that is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We're on our third Spider-Man in 14 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for Tom Holland, yeah.
Third actor playing the role.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, Batman did that as well. But the thing is, with the Batman characters, I mean, you had Michael Keaton, who at the time was not an A-lister. Batman certainly elevated him to A-list. Then you went to Val Kilmer, who was not A-list at the time. Only did one film. George Clooney was A-list, and that's probably the worst Batman film. But then you went to Christian Bale, who was not necessarily A-list at the time, but it definitely elevated him to A-list.
Machinist, like The Machinist was.
Oh yeah,
that was something.
Well, when I say A-list, I'm talking about in terms of salary, is what I'm basically.
Well, but I'm saying this, but he had a track record of being a good actor and making.
Oh no, he was incredible. He's incredible. He is the most accomplished in front of the screen actor to play that role by far.
Yeah,
Christian Bale.
Like acclaim. As far as acclaim and awards are, yeah. Patrick Bateman.
Well, actually, again, in front of the screen. Overall, it's actually Affleck. Affleck's got two Oscars. One for writing, one for directing. He's got two. A lot of people forget that.
None for acting, though. None for acting.
None for acting.
Keep that in mind.
Writing and directing. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. So, and then, like I said, you went from Bale, what was the last one?
Affleck.
No. The last Batman film.
For Bale?
Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and what's the third one called?
Dark Knight Rises.
Okay. You went from an A-lister, a dedicated A-lister, Christian Bale, to another dedicated A-lister and Ben Affleck, right? And you kind of took, again, kind of a step back and went with Robert Pattinson. Now, was he an A-lister? Was he an A-lister with Twilight?
I have decent hope for Robert Pattinson.
I do too, but I think that I'm calling it. Call it Steve Stone Cold Lock of the Week of the Century. That movie ain't coming out on time.
No, that's getting a theatrical release. I think that's the same reason you see both of the big wrestling promotions are also looking to get back to some level of traveling again.
Something, yeah. Now, well, again, we're really splaying off here, but what is your third thing that you miss in the COVID era?
The third thing that I've missed in the COVID era, strip clubs.
Okay.
I mean, even if I don't get to, just knowing that they're not out there anymore, just not doing.
Well, I have not,
and that's one of those. I think that's gone.
I have not been to one.
Too.
I think the last time I went to one.
It's kind of one of those I like having the option. It's kind of one of those ass arguments.
Well, do they have to close at 10:00?
I would assume so.
Well, or do they have to stop serving at 10:00 and then
they have to close at
11?
They have to close at 11. Anything that's got a liquor license has to close at 11. At least in our state.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I would imagine that's not doing. I mean, just on top of that, remember the old sex ed ad, if you sleep with someone, you're sleeping with everyone that person has been with. If you get a lap dance from someone, you're getting a lap dance from everyone that girl has danced with, and some gross, fat, sweaty guys.
Keep your cold needle and penicillin handy. You might need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are done. Those are done.
Okay. I really did not expect you. Oh, wow. Okay. So this might be, kind of stepping on your toes a little bit with, your interests. My fourth thing that I miss, live music.
Concerts.
Concerts. Live music.
I miss playing shows so much. I miss it so much.
One of the big things that, and finally I live very close to a middle, I would call it a bigger than a club, smaller than a theater venue, a place called Musica here in Akron. And man, I was really looking forward to it. I was going to go see the Rev. I was going to go see Horton Heat.
I still can't believe they're together, man. Like,
And that show got pushed back all the way to 2021. Same date, 2021. Music had decided like we're financially it's not working, so we're gonna have to close. And I was like, I was really excited to go see it because it had been the first time I've seen live music in probably about a year and a half. And they were one of the first clubs to reopen in the wake of COVID. They had, secured all the protocols. The show was going to start at like 7 o'clock at night to accommodate the time and everything. And there was going to be no opening act. It was just going to be the Rev playing for like 2.5 hours. They were going to have like a dedicated break in the set. That's what they announced. They said, hey, we're going to play. It's just going to be us. We're going to play for about 2.5 to 3 hours altogether. We're going to have a half-hour break halfway through the set. But it's just going to be us, due to COVID protocols. It's just going to be us. And they pulled the plug.
and I don't blame them. I've been to a couple of just small local like cover concerts here since the governor's allowed it. Yeah, it's not fun. It is not fun, and it's not the band's fault or the venue's fault or necessarily even the state's fault. Like, even if they said it's kind of, I feel like it's one of those things where even if the governor was like, yeah, you can go, we don't recommend dancing. Just that.
Yeah,
that
just
basic.
don't. Just don't
do it. Not even we won't find you. Not this. We don't recommend doing this. You're not going to get people doing it. Like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even I DJ weddings, and like even those were
kind of muted, right?
Muted, yeah.
Muted.
Yeah. The only one that was popular that had a good amount was the place with the biggest, literally the biggest surface space of a dance floor, and that was fun. Someone busted their head open on like the last possible song of the night, and I had to call the squad. So that was the highlight of that. That was the highlight of that one.
Okay, so what's your number 4?
No, my number 4 was also concerts, just from playing them.
Yeah,
it's one of those, and ironically, I don't know if those are coming back either. If for no other reason than I think a lot of the promoters are just going to be toast. I think, because that industry is a where's my money kind of industry.
Not a lot of staying power in that industry. It is what have you done this month to keep the lights on and the doors open.
So I am curious to see what it looks like, what live music looks like going forward. Because one day, that's the one thing I can safely say is I still know that like one day it will be over.